It's time for our weekly segment of Future Shock 2.0 with another well-informed business leader, Ira Wolfe. What started as Ira's response to my question about how to make sense of these US labour markets with the abundance of new jobs in January amidst massive layoffs turned into an extended section. So I will play part of it this week and we will return to the other part next week. Take a listen. Ira Wolfe, welcome back for Future Shock 2.0. I know you've seen the numbers for January in the jobs created in the US economy. 517,000. It was gangbusters. The unemployment rate dropped to a record 3.4%. So we have now 2 job openings for every available unemployed worker. But it's just so hard to understand this. I go by all the stores and see signs, now hiring, and yet we've this rash of layoffs in finance, technology, maybe even in healthcare for all I know, and some big jobs out there. I think Yahoo, News Corporation, Ford, and it goes on and on. I'm sure there'll be another slew of them before Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, there's no question, John, and I appreciate being back on Future Shock 2.0. One of the things that, I'll go back to, I talked about this 25 years ago, almost. We called it the perfect labor storm. And it really was a convergence. It's not just demographics. It's not just multi-generations. It's not just skill gaps. It's not globalization. It's not technology. There's a lot of factors. So, it's a really complex environment, and we strive for, we as a human race are addicted to certainty. So we're always looking for that prediction, that forecast of what's going to happen. And frankly, I think we're living in this never normal world. That a lot of the rules of the past, the traditions, the norms, people predicted things and they didn't always turn out to be true. But generally there were good people forecasting and things were a little bit more predictable, but there were less factors going on. So if we talk about, why we're having all these jobs created at the same time we're raising interest rates. And in the past, if the Fed raised interest rates, it slowed the economy, which means businesses didn't have, demand was cut. We didn't need as many employees as we had in the past as workers, so they got laid off, and it was almost predictable. And if we look back over the last 12 recessions that we've had, we're not, it's even debatable whether we're in a recession or not today. But if we look back at almost 70 years to 1945, every recession that we had always had an unemployment rate that was above 6.1%. That was the lowest in any recession. Now we're raising interest rates. We're not sure if we're in, depending on who you talk to, whether we're in a recession or not. But our unemployment rate dropped to 3.4%. So there's a couple things in there. We've got a lower participation rate. So part of the reason that we have low unemployment is because it's still hard to find people, and there's still a lot of jobs, essential jobs that have to be filled. And they weren't filled for the last number of years. And so there's healthcare is still trying to fill jobs for nursing and providers and manufacturers in certain areas, and truck drivers and transportation and logistics. They're still, short on people. So we're still trying to get them. And yet the male participation rate still is very low. The female participation rate, which saved us for almost 50 years because more and more women came into the workplace, because of the pandemic, many women dropped out of the workplace, and they're having a tough time coming back because of childcare. So, there's just so many pieces, so many moving parts. And I just read something yesterday. When we talk about this, in general, we really we talk about averages. We talk about 3.4% unemployment, but the distribution of that, there are certain areas that have unemployment rates below 2%. And there's some areas that have unemployment, obviously it's an average. So there's unemployment rates higher than that. There are certain industries that have very low unemployment, and there's certain industries that have very high unemployment. There has been a migration of workers, and especially accelerated by the pandemic, that moved to the South. They move to warmer climates. And this has been a trend that's been going on for a long time, especially with younger people, to move to warmer climates. They're moving out of the Northeast. They're moving out of the cold climates. They're moving out of the Midwest. So they're migrating to the South, the Southwest, and Montana and Idaho. So that means is that the areas, the regions that are losing workers or having a tough time retaining their workers, or their age or their workforce is getting older, is there's just not enough people to support the people that are there. So the only way to solve that problem is to go remote or hybrid. There's people in Montana and Idaho, they don't have enough of an economy to support all those. So they're working remotely, but only 40% of our jobs are remote. We talk about it like all our jobs can be remote and hybrid.
Yeah.
That's not possible. There's only maximum of 40% of all the jobs right now that can be remote. 60% still have to be in person, and which means that you need people in those localities. So if a combination of lower participation rates, aging workforce, people are migrating to different states, but either warm states or Idaho and Montana, so they can have more room and do what they need. There's a lot of moving pieces around here. And, to be able to forecast this going forward, I think everybody has to be much more sensitive to what's going on in their area, for any jobs that can be remote or hybrid or flexible, which are different terms, but that's for another episode. They're going to have to really recreate their cultures, and people are struggling with doing that. They're going to have to upgrade their technologies. All these things that we're talking about actually create jobs. The problem is, as soon as they say, we're willing to upgrade the technology, but we can't find the people to help us do that.
That was Ira Wolfe, a workforce trends expert, top 5 global thought leader, author, TEDx talker, and host of the magnificent podcast Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization.